Happy Friday. This week we have a repeat offender. Allan Parr wants to prove Christianity is the truth. Like he did so well with the first time here on biblical slavery, that he's going to double down and do proving Christianity. Who here thinks that he's going to give a thought experiment and arguments we've all heard before? Show of hands. If you answered yes, stay tuned. Yeah, Allan Parr poked his head up out of the ground again, just in time for Faith Around and Find Out Friday. We featured Allan some time ago with a revisit to the slavery in the Bible topic, and this time he says he has proof for Christianity. Now, I was recently asked why I dump on Christians so much when I'm a channel to dunk on all religions. Simple. Christians poke their head up a lot and start shouting way more often, so there's simply just more content there. Anyway, Allan wants to start with a question.
Why is Christianity the only religion that can get you to God or get to heaven? How can you be a Christian who is so arrogant to think that your way is the only way and all of these other religions are going straight to hell? What would you say?
Seriously? I would just say that's stupid to say, because every time I hear Christian arguments, they're full of so many holes, it's like a net rather than an argument. But we should give him a chance to say his piece. I mean, the last time he actually did quote parts of the Bible that made his point look bad. So, Angel, what's going down with this one?
There are 4 questions, and if you can prove that the answer to these 4 questions is yes, then we must unequivocally conclude that Christianity is true, and by deduction, all other religions are essentially false.
Why do these guys always say they can prove God exists? And why do they like to say that it only takes a simple answer? It's like they want me to cover them or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what he has to say. Please be good. 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 Please be good.
Question number 1. Does truth exist?
I'm not holding too much faith in where this is going already. Yes, truth exists. That's basic. I mean, I can truthfully say I exist. So, something true therefore must exist. Beyond that, we'll see. But for context, let's just see why he's asking that.
Now, you have to start by asking this question. Do you believe that there is such a thing as truth? Now, you have to start here, because if this person doesn't agree that there is such a thing as absolute truth.
Stop! He's already moving the goalpost. He just snuck the word absolute in before the word truth. So when you ask if there's something called truth, of course there is, but absolute truth? What does that even mean? Why would you prefix the word truth with the word absolute?
Then essentially having conversations about anything, whether it's science, whether it's God, whether it's religion, is basically a waste of your time. So if they say, well, I believe that some things are true for some people, but they're not true for others, right? That's the whole, it's true for you, but it may not be true for me, or whatever.
And there it is, the real reason for the word absolute. Now, of course, there would be a different truth for one person as opposed to another. Like, I'm going to make a statement that is true for me. Wearing my fursuit is an amazing experience. Now, that is a true statement, but the fundy Christian might not like wearing a fursuit at all, let alone mine. Besides, if you tried to put on my suit, I'd likely punch you in the head. So an absolute truth? No. I need you to clarify what the hell that is for us to even continue.
Understand the difference between relative truth and absolute truth. You need to help them understand that, yes, there are some things that can be true for you.
See what I mean? And I caution all of you, when you're in a debate, to watch out for a definition change. He started out with, does truth exist? And changed it to, does absolute truth exist? Is there anything that is always true on every occasion?
there is also such a thing as absolute truth that is true for all people at all times, no matter what your opinion about it is. Let me give you an example. The earth revolves around the sun. That's not just true for you, that's true for everybody, right? Water freezes at 32 degrees. That's true for everybody. 2 + 2 = 4. That's not just true for me or true for you. That's truth. Fire will burn you if you touch it. If you don't believe that's true, go try to touch some fire.
Interesting. Those are not absolute either. When the sun dies, the earth will be consumed by a red giant phase of the sun. So that is relative to the time. Water doesn't always freeze at 0 degrees Celsius. It depends on the air pressure. And fire doesn't burn if you only touch it for a moment. So that depends on how long you have had your hand on it. So his absolute examples are all relative examples until he gives one.
Humans need oxygen to live. A triangle has 3 sides. You get my point, right?
Yes, definitionally these are all correct, but a triangle doesn't need to have its angles total 180 degrees in non-Euclidean geometry, and humans only need oxygen to live. Yet when we are dead, our remains are still human remains. I could get pedantic here, but I'll let him have this and say yes. So, proving Christianity. Proving the Christian God is true. Question 2. Hit me.
The next and more important question, and that is the idea, does God exist?
Speak up! No, I don't want to do this.
I don't wanna stop.
But this is the same fucking thing every time. Some Christian says, herder, I have proof for God. Herder, just answer these questions as yes. Herder, question 1, does a bear shit in the woods? Herder, question 2, does God exist? You get my fucking hopes up and then jerk off into a towel like you're gonna get the linen pregnant. Of course, if you answer question 2, is God exist, then you would be admitting to God's existence. This is literally one singular exception to the rule that there are no stupid questions. So no, I don't believe in God. I swear, Angel, if the next thing that comes out of his mouth isn't a backup to that claim, I'm gonna walk into do a different video.
But if they say, I'm not sure if God exists, or they say they don't believe God exists, so we need to make sure we have some arguments in place, some talking points.
Right, this is Allan. One of the rare honest ones. Okay. It's okay. Yes, if you can convince a person that God exists, you would need an argument. Now, he's going to give a few arguments for God, and we can address those quickly, or I turn into a theist today, who knows?
And let me give you the 3 primary arguments that you can use in this discussion.
3 primary. Okay? So, longtime viewers know that I tend to write these things as I watch. That's the format. It's a very rare that I watch the entirety of a video before starting a script. So, at this point, I'm going to make a guess. First, everything that it begins to exist has a cause, therefore there must be an uncaused cause. They're the most common one. Anyway, this is the cosmological argument. An easy point to bring up on this is that the argument for God is just naturalism with an extra step. So please demonstrate a justification for that extra step. Second, we'll go with fine-tuning argument. The teleological argument. An easy refutation for this is to point out that the fine-tuning argument relies on a cocktail napkin math done only after the 5th margarita, while the actual science of the Big Bang cosmology dictates that this is the only universe that could come into existence, and no matter how big the bang was, it would come out of it, and no matter how much material came into existence. So it's not that the universe was fine-tuned as if there could have been another, and this happened to be the one, but that the universe we experience is the sole way it could have come out with naturalistic standpoint. Third, you see I'm torn because this is the ontological argument we just went over recently and the moral argument that I like to end up, that I hear all the time. Let's go with the moral argument for number 3, and if I'm wrong, it's probably the ontological. The refutation for this is to simply point out the world's varying moral sets and how they are subjective and not objective. Okay, let's see what he's got and go from there.
Bet you're wrong.
No, I think this is right. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty comfortable. He said basics, and these are the most basic bullshits. So, Angel, let's put them up on the screen. Okay, ready? Go.
Let's start with the first one, the cosmological argument.
Shit. Please let me not get these in order.
So the second one is the good old-fashioned teleological argument.
God damn it. Can I, go back and get a redo?
No.
I really don't want to get these in order.
Keep going.
No, I really don't want to. I can't get all three in order. It would have been fine if I got all three, but please, just not in order.
Shut up! Shut up!
Okay, so I love this third argument for the existence of God. It's called the moral argument.
Darwin, damn it! For fuck's sake, in a bucket. How the fuck did I know that this would be the same fucking bullshit every single fucking time? I mean, for fuck's sake. Why was I so good at this? God damn it, I'm knocking shit down now. Son of a bitch. Why didn't I say the transcendental argument? I mean, motherfucker. Son of a...
Shut up, dear furry.
Okay, listen. When your arguments only work on the same kind of person it was looking for any excuse to believe, they'll work because they won't question it. But if you are looking to make an argument to convince those that aren't just looking for an excuse, but looking for a reason, these are useless because we'll just refute them and wait for you to start the special pleading bandwagon. Wait a minute. Does truth exist? Does God exist? If the next one's what I think it is, I'm going to have something fun to show you all.
Third question. Did Jesus rise from the dead?
Okay, it wasn't what I thought it was. Anyway, mind if I sidetrack?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So 8 months ago, I did a 4 questions with Frank Turek as a short. But his third was to ask if miracles were possible. Though I do recall when he asked if Jesus really rose from the dead. So all this threw me off a bit. Anyway, no one rose from the dead. Why? Several reasons. Let's start with an event in the crucifixion of Jesus. In Matthew chapter 27, verses 52 and 53, the living dead came out of their tombs in a zombie horde and walked among the people. This would have been addressed by the record keepers at the time outside of the Bible itself and thus would have been heard by the Romans. But they said nothing and wrote nothing about it. On top of that, the resurrection of Jesus is full of so many conflicting accounts you can't take any of them seriously. Between the 4 Gospels, Jesus is mythicized to have been buried and then his tomb visited by 1, 2, 3, or more than 5 women to find the capstone both open and closed, while they were greeted by an angel outside, an angel in white inside, 2 angels inside the resting place, or they had 2 angels appear next to them magically. Then they were visited and not visited by Jesus, with Jesus or the angels saying that he went to Galilee, which they ran away screaming or walked away unafraid to tell everyone or no one. All of these depend on the specific gospel you read, and if all of this is confusing, trust me when I say trying to make any sense of it is just as confusing. So when you can't trust anything about the resurrection narrative, why would you take any of it seriously? So why does Allan believe any or all of this at all?
There's a few things that we want to look at. First of all, historical evidence of Jesus.
What history? There isn't any eyewitness testimony about his life, just second and third hand accounts of people committing acts of terrorism against Rome, and then a few excerpts mentioning him hundreds of years after his death. Do I think Jesus existed? Yeah, but I don't think he did miracles or was the Son of God. Back then, dozens of people claimed to be godly and did nice things and were helpful. Jesus was just a healer and healed people, so they venerated him into claiming he was godlike. But Allan says something shameful.
Let's look at the empty tomb. If Jesus didn't rise, why wasn't his body produced by his enemies to squash the movement? No historical record exists of anyone disproving the empty tomb.
First of all, no one has actually shown the tomb was empty. There are stories and claims that it was, but no one and no historian has confirmed that the tomb was actually empty. It's entirely plausible that the disciples actually hid Jesus' body and not the Romans. Second, where's the right tomb? No one knows. So how do we go about testing anything at all? We can't. So we use logic to see which is more likely. Did the Romans steal the body and throw it into the pit with the others? Did the disciples steal the body to fulfill a prophecy in the Old Testament to make Jesus their spiritual bitch? Or did a magical spiritual sky daddy reach inside the tomb to pluck his kid out and pull his body and soul up to heaven to kick the stone just aside just for the hell of it? I'll let you decide.
Well, that's not fair at all.
Maybe not, but these are the options. Frankly, I'll take door number 2.
If you go through the book of Acts, no one ever refuted or disproved the resurrection of Jesus. I love this point.
Okay, I gotta ask. Why would the book of Acts ever say anything to disprove the Gospels? I mean, seriously, why would the writers even start to write something that would be negative against the resurrection myth? This is just a silly, silly point. Imagine a used car salesman trying to sell you a car, but on every car he tries to sell you, it has "does not run" written on each car. Would you buy one?
No, I don't think so.
Neither would I. What's his fourth point? He's trying to prove the Christian narrative as written in the Bible is true.
Now we get to the fourth and final question that you hopefully will get someone to answer in the affirmative as we're asking the question, why must Christianity be true? Is the Bible true?
I give up. I give up. How? I don't understand how. Allan, I took you for intelligent. Obviously, I was wrong. You could have skipped the first 3 questions and just gone straight to this. Is the Bible true? If yes, then Christianity is also true. Everything else, all 3 of your other questions were about things in the Bible already. Demon, what do you think?
Thanks for another forgettable experience.
Oh, really, Angel? Okay, let's see what he's got then.
I want to direct your attention to this graphic on the screen right here. And I want you to notice that these are all things that were written by secular historians, and you can reconstruct the entire story of the New Testament, not even using a verse in the scriptures. Let's take a look at it.
Well, now, that is a very long list. And yes, we should go over this a bit. For this, please put the list on the screen, Angel. Starting with the top left and moving across. Phlegon lived a century and a half after the life of Jesus and wrote about the things claimed by Christians at the time, not actually saying they were true.
Keep going.
Pliny the Younger only said Jesus' followers thought he was God, nothing more. He isn't even trying to verify the Bible is true. Suetonius was born 70 years after Jesus was born and over 40 years after his death. All he is saying is that people claimed he was an actual person, not that he was the Son of God and not that he pissed the Jews off. Again, not verifying that Jesus existed at all, just that people think he did. Let's work our way around to Celsus, born in the late 2nd century, again just recorded what people thought were true, not reporting that they were true. Josephus, out of all of these, lived close to Jesus' life, born in about 37 CE and lived to about 100 CE, but even he only reported on what Jesus' followers had said, and he doubted the validity. The Talmud. Bitch, you have got to be kidding. The Talmud is the Jewish scripture, and the Jews think Jesus wasn't the fucking Messiah. Further, the parts of the Talmud that reference Yeshua are again talking what the Christians think Yeshua did, since they were added in the 3rd century CE. Get good.
Daddy.
On to Thales. We have no idea when he lived. Most of his writings were lost, but what we do have is a reference to what he wrote by Theophilus of Antioch in the late 2nd century. So a third-hand account of things that might have happened? Good try. Next is Tacitus. Tacitus wrote not about Jesus, but about his followers committing acts of terrorism against Rome in both Rome and Judea, while they claimed Christos was killed by Pilate. The stupid thing here is Pilate biblically didn't want to crucify Jesus at all and wanted to release him. Last on his list is Bar Serapion, and just right along the same lines as everyone else on the list, he was born in about 50 CE and again just recorded the shit that Christians were claiming.
Well, let me just say you're correct.
None of these things are verifying anything about the Bible, just that people believed it. Lots of people believe things that doesn't make them real. Sorry, but it just doesn't. In today's day and age, there are thousands and thousands of people that think the Earth is 6,000 years old and flat as a pancake, regardless of the measurements and research we have done. They still insist they're not the stupid ones. Furthermore, most of these are Greek and Roman historians, but not a single one is coming from the actual times of Jesus, and no writings of the Greeks and Romans while Jesus was alive. No writings of any miracles or words of Jesus during his life in any way at all. Even the Gospels were written long after his death. So, what do you expect us to think? Everyone just stopped taking notes during Jesus' lifetime and ignored all the miracles that are supposed to have happened? Don't be so naive.
Alrighty, job well done.
Fair enough. So, thank you, Allan Parr, for making your video, but it's not going to convince but the most gullible of people that don't do their own research. I do. And I am Corsi, and this is the Fluffy Atheist. Pet those like and subscribe buttons, and remember, if you faith around, I will help you find out what your Bible really fucking says.